Hello, I'm Salimul Haq. I'm Director of the International Center for Climate Change and Development at the Independent University Bangladesh. And my center is responsible for organizing this annual Gobeshona conference. This is the second time we've made it a fully online global Gobeshona conference on locally led adaptation and resilience. And we're very pleased to announced at the last year's session, we were able to get funding from the Climate Justice Resilience Fund as well as the Global Resilience Partnership to offer a number of small grants. We call them catalytic grants, and they were made with the purpose of enabling different groups of people who are attending the conference to get to know each other and to form groups to take some actions together. And the actions needed to take place over a year so that they could come back and report back in the following year's Gobeshona conference. We had a number of grantees that were given these grants, and they did their activities. They will be presenting their work now after I speak. And we have been fortunate enough to be given another round of grant funding from the same institutions, and we will be offering further grants. So the grants will be $5,000 per group, and it's not just for one single group, it's for several groups to join forces, at least two, possibly three, to join forces. And the whole point is networking and joining in solidarity and common interests. Even if we are not meeting in person, at least on the HOVA platform, we can meet and discuss, and we are already seeing quite a few discussions, and apply for a grant. The grant will be provided, as I said, for $5,000 to the group as a whole. It will be split between the members of the group, and part of it will be to fund at least one person from the whole groups to attend COP27 in Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt in November this year. And then next year at the Gobeshona conference, we will hear from each of the groups on what they did, and hopefully we will see some good linkages and progress. The whole purpose of this exercise is to stimulate collaborative work across different groups. They can be in the same country, they can be in different countries, in neighboring countries, or they could be across continents, one group in Asia, one group in Africa. We have had such cross-continental groups as well. And the whole point is to use technologies to communicate and do things, each of them separately, but then all of them collectively, and to enhance the networking opportunities that the Gobeshona conference tries to promote. And I look forward to getting applications. We are going to allow a few extra days after the conference is over for applications to come in, and then we will be final selection based on voting from the HOVA participants. We'll ask everybody to have a look at the pitches that come in and give their votes for the ones that they like, and then the best five will get grants of $5,000 each.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I just heard from Adiba, this is just a housekeeping, another one of the housekeeping announcements. I heard from Adiba that we might not be able to have a networking session, which would be a breakout room at the end, because we've been having incidents of Zoom bombing. And in order to avoid that, in order to ensure that there's maximum security in this session, and in order to allow maximum people to participate, we will continue in a webinar mode. So in case you have questions, in case you have questions even around the application process or around the journeys of the participants, please feel free to put them in chat, or please feel free to raise your hands when we open the floor and open up for conversations with the participants. So yeah, please do feel free to interact in the ways that we can best manage in these circumstances. Thank you very much. I shall get on with the session. Before we get into the participant presentations, I have one quick slide with a few announcements from GRP's side. This particular session has been and session and activity has been hosted under a community of practice or a network of network that is focused towards putting the spotlight on the expertise in the Global South. And that's the Resilience Knowledge Coalition. This is hosted at GRP and is being co-led by ICCCAD and CDKN. And we are currently 450 members. Welcome to have more members. The link is in chat currently as we speak. And we also currently have two exciting opportunities, which we thought this audience would be perfectly suited for, around resilience measurements and quick mapping around approaches and tools on resilience measurements and resilience impact assessments. So please feel free to apply for those as well, along with the Catalytic Grants applications. And yeah, join us for more such exciting opportunities. With this, without any more ado, we shall get into the session and celebrate our winners from the last Gobeshona grants round. If we could go to the next slide, please. And the next slide, please. And I invite Zakia to kick us off with her presentation on knowledge management and locally led adaptation. Zakia, the floor is yours. Please feel free to switch on video if you need to. Zakia, you're on mute. You can start your presentation. You're on mute.
Okay, thank you. I
Great.
can unmute myself.
Awesome, thank you. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And thanks, Suchi, for giving me the floor. So I am representing on behalf of Group 8 of the Catalytic Grant that we received last year from the Gobeshona Global Conference on. And myself, Zakia Sultana, I am currently working as an assistant professor at the Department of Environmental Science and Disaster Management of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Science and Technology University in Bangladesh. And we have other two group members. Here you can see the name Sara Nandutu. She is working as a national coordinator of Slum Dwellers International in Uganda. And another member is Hamida Akhtar. She is a student of the Department of Environmental Sciences at Jahangirnagar University in Bangladesh. And this project is basically supported by ICCCAD and also GRP and also funded by CJRF. And here you can see the project title here, that is the locally led adaptation strategies for resilience building in the urban informal settlements in the face of climate change. And now I am telling you briefly about the background and objectives of our project. So you can go to the next slide. Next slide, please. So here is the background of our project. That is why we are concerned about working on these urban informal settlements. That is due to the rapid urbanization and also for the livelihood and other options, people are moving from the rural areas to the urban areas, basically due to the climate change and also the environmental emergencies. And they settle down in the cities and make these informal settlements in the urban areas. And these areas have a limited access to the essential utilities and service, and even they don't get their basic needs. And these areas also polluted and unhygienic, and more criminal activities are found in these areas. But these communities have their innovative adaptation strategies to cope with the situations. So our project aims to learn about these adaptation strategies and also share this to the people. So here also, again, I am saying these objectives here. So that is the knowledge management on locally led adaptation strategies, mainly the adaptation strategies people adapted in the slum communities for their livelihood and for other purposes. And collective learning, that means what we learn, we share this within the different stakeholders. And another one is the networking, that is within different groups, for example, the groups of these catalytic grants, and also within the NGO practitioners, and also community people, and also the academicians who are working in these informal urban settlements. And next slide, please. Suchi, can you move to the next slide?
Sorry, I think there's an issue.
I think yeah, let me stop sharing here and I'll do the web page instead, because it's my PowerPoint. It is sharing.
Okay.
Sorry about this. So here.
Okay, yeah, this one. So these are is our project outcomes, and also the challenges that we faced while conducting this project. And the outcomes is the first one is we organized 2 webinars with the slum communities of Uganda, and in that webinars, the community people, they shared their adaptation strategies. And after that, in this year, we organized a dissemination session where we shared those findings from the webinars, and also the different stakeholders from Bangladesh, like the academicians, and also the NGO practitioners, and also the local government. They shared the activities of these urban informal settlements in Bangladesh. And with the results from the webinars, we have formulated a research article. And now this article is within the co-authors of this for the review. And we hope that we will publish this article soon. And we already published a story from the community members of Uganda that is already online on the GRP website. And also networking, we already built up different networks through LinkedIn, and also Facebook group, and also through the email thread. And the challenges that we faced while conducting this project, that is the COVID pandemic, that we planned the project in a different way, but after that we had to change this due to these unavoidable circumstances. And also the language barrier, that is also a problem to hear the real the words from the community people, both in the slum community of Uganda and also the slum community in Bangladesh. And Suchi, the next slide, please. Start moving. Here I have included some pictures of the adaptation strategies of the slum communities of Uganda. If you can show this, there are some pictures after this.
Is it showing on your screen now?
Yes, this is, but in a small size. You can, yeah.
Emma, can you
please
stop
enlarge
sharing?
the-
I think I can share the screen.
Thank you. I think it's my internet lagging. Will you share, Adiba? Thanks.
Yes, I'm sharing. Actually.
I have shared the screen. That's fine. I
Okay,
had
in the slum
carry on.
community of Uganda, they have some saving groups. So they save from their daily expenses, and these savings they use for different productive activities. Next slide, please. And there are some waste management activities, and they use this waste for some productive activities. You can see this in the next slide. So this is the briquette or charcoal that is made from the biodegradable waste. So they prepare this and they sell this to the market and earn money from there. And they also collect reusable waste from the drainage. And with these adaptation strategies, they save themselves from the flooding, and also they use these waste that is recyclable to the different companies, and they earn money also from there. And there are some income generating activities here. So they show some mask during the COVID pandemic, and also they made some soaps that they sell during the COVID pandemic and earn money. So these activities I found from the slum community, that they share these adaptation strategies in the webinars. And this is all from my side. And I think I can share the story that we published on the GRP website, and I will paste this link on this chat box here. And thank you very much for your patience hearing.
Thank you, Zakia. I think Ida has shared the link, but you can share it again if you want. And I think with this, we invite Twajing to present his work, his project with school kids.
Hello, yes, good afternoon, everybody. And it's very pleased to be here. So, Kabalung is the name of our project. And the main intention of this project was to enhance community resilience by giving training and building indigenous children's knowledge base on climate change and adaptation. So we were group 20 and we were four members in our group. Jing Marma, me and Doki, we mainly worked in the field, and we had two advisors in our team, Iktiharul Islam and Faisal Rahman. Can you go to the next slide, please? So I'm going to give you now an overview of our project. So the objective of our project was establishing a climate learning hub for Burma children and their families. And the other objective was enhancing indigenous community resilience. So the target community of our project was Marma children. There are 13 to 14 indigenous communities live in Chittagong Hill Tracts. We mainly choose Marma children for this project, and the age group was 12 to 18 years old. And we designed, to run the project, we had a few methodologies. Some of the methodologies we couldn't follow because of the COVID pandemic we had, but these are the methodologies at the end we followed. Discussion sessions with children and parents. We had a discussion session at the beginning of the project, we had a discussion session with the children and parents to understand their understanding about climate change and how they're coping with. Then we did training of trainers. The trainers were from the school where we worked. Then we ran, several learning sessions for, I think, 5 to 6 weeks of learning sessions. Then the other methodology is drawing and storytelling. We mainly did this to bring the stories from the children through drawing and paragraph writing. Then we also conducted surveys. At the beginning of the project, we mainly conducted 3 surveys at the beginning of the project. Then in the middle, it was kind of a field work as well. We gave them we prepared for them questionnaires. Then when the children went to their home in the vacation time, they did a survey and they interacted with the elderly people of their village at of their community, and they brought the story back at the end of the project. So this is the output
Coaching, we are
of our
having.
project.
Sorry,
we
are
mainly
having.
Because of the COVID-19, we could very far from the school. We had Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I
Hello?
think so. Do you want to
Yes.
switch off video? In any case, I don't think we can see your video.
Okay. Okay.
That might help with your bandwidth.
Okay. So we mainly, as I said earlier, we mainly targeted to reach 200 Marmot children, but because of the COVID pandemic, we only reached 250 Marmot children. And then we had discussion sessions with 50 parents and community leaders and to gain ideas on climate change. Then we, under our project, we were able to train 3 facilitators on how to facilitate the learning sessions effectively, so that even if the project ends, they can still help the students and facilitate the students to understand about climate change and how it's impacting their local community and their surrounding environment. Then a survey was conducted. The survey that I told you, the survey that they did when they went for a vacation, on 50 people, 50 children conducted on 50 elder people. And we still couldn't do some of our works because the project just has ended, and we're planning to publish a booklet and also making a video documentation for the outreach and sustainability of our project. Then we are also planning to do an online campaign to aware people about the issues that community people are facing due to climate change. So the main, okay, can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, so the first picture was the, discussion session with the children, and we also did drawing activities with the children to understand about their understanding on climate change. The second picture, you can see the students do some pictures what they understood about flood and also other hazardous. Then the third picture shows that we had a discussion with elderly people or community people and community leaders. And then the fourth picture shows that the facilitator, after he got trained, he's facilitating the students to understand climate change. Next slide, please. So this is we did this just a couple of weeks ago. Kabalung, drawing and storytelling event. It was a day-long event, and more than, I think, 70 students participated there. Even the primary students, we included even the primary students in the drawing competition and also storytelling competition, so that they also get some ideas about climate change. The second picture, if we could zoom in, we could have seen the picture properly. That they have actually drawn a picture where from their own experience. This is actually happening in their local areas. If you can see, one person is cutting the trees, and also there are people who are stealing, taking rocks from the water channels that they have, because of the immense activities of cutting trees and stealing rocks from the water channels to make roads. The water channels are drying, and they have drawn that picture. The second picture is, we have in our area, we don't have much of a brick field, but we have one, and he do the picture to show that if we have much more brick fields in our local areas, then what will happen to our environment, to our we will be having air pollution in our area. So that's about it. At the end, what I just wanted to say, that the project was designed just to facilitate, to help the students to understand about climate change, and so that they can relate. And also the project was designed to help the students to relate climate change with their local environment. So that's all about it for now. If I have another opportunity to speak, then I will share with you a story. Thank you.
Thank you, Thorching. I think considering we've had a few gaps in between and few delays, I think I'll take this opportunity to pepper the presentations with a few questions, if you don't mind. And Thorching, if you could, there are a few questions in chat where the audience wants to know how these awareness generation activities help these young people in coping with any future climate change issues, and what kind of issues do these young people face?
Okay, one of the things is that they're having water crisis in their area, and the students, even the participants, the students don't have they don't have water for drinking water in their hostel. And we managed to dig a tube well, and then now they have the water facility. But they, in their villages, the students come from very remote places and from many villages, and all of the villages, they used to collect water from water channels, canals, but now the water channels are dried. So they are facing this sort of issues.
Thank you, Thorching. Can we move on to the next presentation, which is Melanie?
Welcome.
Melanie, are you there? Can you please unmute Melanie? I'm not sure if she can, if the panelists have been.
Okay, yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Now I've managed to unmute myself.
Awesome, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening and good morning, wherever you are tuning in from. My name is Melanie Chirwa, and I work with People's Process on Housing and Poverty in Zambia. It's an NGO, and that works in partnership with a grassroots movement called the Zambia Homeless and Poor People's Federation. And we, as an alliance, are part of Slum Dwellers International. In my group, I have also Sohana Rahman. He is the head of YouthNet for Climate Justice in Bangladesh. And also I have Jerry Danny, and he is the programs officer for Sustainable Environment Management Action in Tanzania. So that is our group, and our project title was Enhancing Youth and Community-Led Climate Adaptation, Knowledge Management and Networking Hub Project. We can move to the next slide. Okay. It hasn't moved yet. Okay, and we came together because we're facing a similar climate crisis in our various countries. And the objectives was to promote and share locally led adaptation initiatives and knowledge through youth networks to influence development, local government, authority plans and budgets. And we also thought it was important to create a platform where the three countries, Zambia, Bangladesh, and Tanzania, could learn and share information on the various strategies that communities are using to adapt to climate change. Another objective was to use the information we gathered as an advocacy tool and to raise awareness on the challenges of climate change and the homegrown solutions to these challenges. Next slide, please. So our methodology involved creating 3 hubs in the 3 countries. And if you could just go back, yes. And we trained youths in the 3 countries, about 15 in each country. So in total, 45 on climate change and documentation. So they also learned how to take pictures, how to produce documentaries, and also just the storytelling and the platforms, the various platforms they could share their climate stories on. And we created linkages with local government authorities, and by introducing our projects to the local authorities and on the importance of locally led solutions. And a typical example was in Tanzania, where they got an agriculture extension officer who was then seconded to their project in order for them to understand locally led climate adaptation in relation to agriculture. And then we also had group meetings as group 1, and the Secretariat arranged meetings where we could also meet with other grantees across the small grants program for learning and sharing purposes. Then we had the knowledge that we gathered. These stories now were shared on social media and with the local authorities, and also other platforms that the grantees decided to share them on. So whether it was in the newspaper and television, we used various platforms to share our stories. Next slide. So the outcomes of our project were the knowledge sharing between the 3 countries and with the rest of the world. And then the youth also learned about telling their stories, and they were able to connect with other people from different parts of the world. And then we built relationships through this grant that we received. We were able to connect between ourselves and with other people, and with the local authorities. We developed relationships because of the opportunity we had to be able to tell our stories. So they were able to see our stories as the local authorities, and together now we're looking at what solutions can we co-produce, and they understand better that things should start from the bottom up for them to be more sustainable. Then it also provided an opportunity to share the locally led adaptation knowledge being steered by young people in our local communities on a global platform. One of our members attended the COP26, and therefore we raised the profile of the youth and also the communities that we're working in, as well as the importance of local knowledge. Other like-minded organizations also got interested in our work, because now we are getting people contacting us and asking us how we can partner and work together. I can go to the next slide. We did experience some challenges. I think this is common to most of the groups, the COVID-19 pandemic. There were a number of lockdowns for the countries, and so it made it difficult for us to meet physically. We also had challenges with internet connectivity, which resulted in sometimes low participation, but whenever we had the opportunity, we made an effort to share what we had discussed in the previous meetings with those that were not present. And then we also had a challenge where some youths did not have access to a smartphone. So online meetings in that case were difficult, and this was common in Tanzania. Next slide, please. And we learned some lessons from the project. We said local people have many indigenous ways of adapting to climate change, but these are often ignored by the planners and decision makers. And more effort is needed to amplify climate knowledge to the community, because I think what happens is that communities live the effects, they see the effects, but maybe they're just not able to express them in a way that their leaders would understand and for them to be heard. So I think we need to do more for them so that they're able to communicate their challenges and also share the solutions, and also demand the climate justice they need and hold their leaders accountable. And then we also looked at the youth as being a significant player in amplifying the voices of communities on climate change, local solutions, as they bring a positive energy to a negative situation by telling the stories that need to be told. And the next slide, please. And we just shared some pictures. This was the Know Your City TV team being trained on documentation, training on media. So that's in Zambia, and we can move to the next one. And this is a knowledge sharing exchange in Bangladesh. So the young people meeting and sharing on the different adaptation stories that they have experienced within their communities. And we can move to the next one. This is a group of youths in Tanzania when they were forming the youth hub under the project. And that's Jerry there. Next slide, please. And this is a picture taken in Bangladesh, just sharing how climate change is affecting communities and how we in the global south are not even the ones, the major contributors to the challenge that we are facing. So that's one picture that says a story that says, once we thought we were responsible for climate change, but now we see that the amount of damage is many times more than we common people are responsible for. So we have to raise our voices to ensure climate justice. We can move to the next slide. Then this is another group one member. This was in Tanzania, where the youths were receiving some capacity building on climate change. And we can move to the next slide, please. And then we have our group member, Sohana, who is the second from the right. He attended COP26, and he was able to represent present on issues of adaptation at COP26. So that was a good experience for one of our group members, but also for the whole group, because then told the story. The next slide, please. And this is a picture from Zambia. This was taken by one of our youths, just showing the challenges that the young people are facing in terms of flooding in Kanyama. And he is very proud of this picture because of the quality and the reflection and how it came out. It was a really good shot that was taken. We can move to the next slide. And this is a picture, a story of the local water conservation in the semi-arid area in Tanzania, where they are showing how they're collecting water and conserving it. And I think that should be our last slide.
Thank you, Melanie. We have a question from the audience where they wanted to know, you mentioned common challenges and they want to know what those common challenges are, but I would add to that, what brought people together? What do you think was that one factor that brought the communities from three possibly very diverse countries and diverse communities together to form such groups, such youth hubs?
Okay, I think some of the common challenges is that we are all facing the climate crisis. So be it flooding, be it the heat waves we're experiencing, the droughts and so forth. But one major issue is being able to tell our stories and being able to be heard, especially by the powers that be, the local authorities, the government, and even at a global level. How do we get the message out that we need to do something and we need to do something now? I think that's the one thing that brought us together. And we said, young people can be the channel that we can use because they are energetic and ready, and they can also be able to enhance the stories and put them out there with social media, with the different platforms, and getting the stories from the people within their communities and appeal to our global leaders, our local leaders in the various countries.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you so much. And I think with that, we will move on to the next speaker. I think Diana has joined us. She was delayed due to some issues, but she has joined us. So I think, Diana, the floor is yours. Give me just a second. Thank you. And that should be your cue. Diana, can you mute Diana, please? Hosts.
Hello. Hi, Sushi. Can you hear me?
Great. Yep, I can. Everyone can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So sorry for joining a little bit late. Had some technical difficulties, but it's really great to be here, especially to hear our previous colleagues and the previous groups and the amazing work they've done. And well, at this point, I want to introduce what it was our project. We originally were a group 33, and we decided to title our project Networks of Nature, Integrating Urban Farming in the City Fabric. And for this project, we joined forces with initially 3 partners One especially located in the Philippines, the Technical Assistance Movement for People and Environment, campaign, with my colleague Ayana Santos, who's here as well. And we also had Binatani Sejahera organization in Indonesia originally, with our group member Inda, who also help us conceptualize the process that all of this project, and throughout along the way we faced a few difficulties, and she was no longer part of our project due to an unfortunate event, and Inda unfortunately couldn't continue with us, as she also was a victim of a COVID pandemic, and we don't have her with us any longer. So this work is specifically dedicated to her, on her memory and on her efforts to make this group actually push through all of the hindrances and inconvenience. And just want to share with you that this group was actually very cohesive from the beginning because of her. And the original idea of actually talking about urban farming came from her, from Inda, who also inspired us to look forward and beyond what we wanted to propose for this specific project. So if we can change to the next slide, I will share with you what is the project about. Okay, so I think we are missing a background image there, but we wanted just to I wanted to introduce to you that originally the main aim of this project was to promote networks and channels of communication that educate people about the benefits that urban farming could have in their daily life. So each of the three members originally, we all come from different backgrounds. So I am located in Singapore, and I represent the Singapore University of Social Sciences, and I also work with other organizations that are mostly dedicated to the study of health and well-being in urban studies. Our partners in the Philippines, okay, for instance, they basically dedicate their efforts towards poverty alleviation, architectural projects, urban interventions. And as well, in the case of Indonesia and the organization CJRF, they are more advocating towards urban farming and agricultural projects throughout the cities and also countryside. So how we could merge the three expertise and make something that could be useful and transfer knowledge. So that was pretty much where we departed from. We knew that we have different skills, and we knew that targeting education was a crucial point in order to understand not only climate change, but in our case, we wanted to promote urban farming in heavily urbanized cities, and also the benefits that urban farming could have in the mental health and well-being of people. And this topic came about in a very crucial time, especially after COVID, since many people residing in heavily urbanized cities, we were feeling the effects of being confined, not being able to go outside because of the restrictions, and several cases of mental health were reported. Just talking about Singapore as one case, there's more than 80% of the population reporting extreme cases of depression, and this is a generalized trend. So three underlying objectives for a project were to develop two educational training modules that basically were focused on, first of all, improving health and well-being through urban farming. And in this topic, I will just explain a little further in the next slide, but first of all, I will talk about the second module, because this is where we actually merge all of our knowledge. And this second module was dedicated towards understanding adaptable architectural infrastructures for urban farming. And this module is very special. It was developed by Ayana Santos in the Philippines, representing Tampei, who made a remarkable work with architectural students in different universities in the Philippines. And the idea was to actually work with communities, explore different forms that different techniques and mechanisms that could be applied in terms of urban farming and different strategies and design models and mechanisms. We try to translate that knowledge into a practical booklet that could also help us highlight the actions that can be also relevant for practitioners, and especially looking at the actions of local communities that have successfully implemented urban farming initiatives in their local environments. We have contrasting case studies coming from Singapore and also in the Philippines, and our exploration was to actually engage with these communities, research about them, interview them, and abstract all the information to be actually applicable into the booklet that we developed. And finally, but of course, one of the most important let's say outcomes that we were trying to achieve was to create an online network. And again, the idea is to disseminate knowledge about the importance of individual and community actions towards urban farming activities. So we are heavily focused on food security, yes, but also the benefits on the mental health and the well-being that this could have on the communities. So we can just move to the last slide, please. Here we have pretty much the outcome of our project. And as I said, this project has been a really interesting experience for us because we've actually managed to explore, as I previously mentioned, quite different and contrasting case studies, but at the same time, we could understand the value of nature and the impact on health, mental health and well-being of communities, and at the same time, also look at different perspectives and design some processes that can be applied for urban farming. So as you can see here, this is the cover, this is the official cover of our booklet. And it can, there is a link down below where you can actually access it and download it if you want. And if you see here as well, we have created a website, which is going to be the online platform where we are going to be uploading not only this booklet that you see here, but also interactive content, which is some affiliated videos that are linked to this booklet. So most of the content that we have included in here is also being spread out in different videos where we have different experts and people sharing knowledge about specific topics. So if the Urban Gardening Network.net is pretty much one of the final outcomes that we have. And here in this platform, we are aiming to invite experts, not only experts in terms of academic experts, scientific experts, but experts in terms of community leadership, civil society, non-governmental organizations that also are pioneering projects related to urban farming. And our idea is to create that network of knowledge where we can actually spread the word of what are those successful initiatives and how can other countries nurture from that knowledge and from those initiatives and inspire others, including youth, to create changes. Even if it's at small scale, it can actually create a massive impact in the long term. So we just wanted to say that this has been a very rewarding experience, yet challenging, since we had to go through many upside downs. And I think the biggest one was when we lost our dear partner and colleague, Inda. But it's because of her spirit, because of her energy, that we can say now that we managed to create this project, and we are really proud to be now with all of you, and of course promoting ideas of how nature and health and well-being are intertwined, but more importantly, how we can do something towards create changes that will not only contribute to the communities in terms of food security, but also to make our cities more livable, greener, and perhaps be more empowered, especially for those that we reside in heavily urbanized cities and we have very few options sometimes. So I invite you all to take a look at the booklet, which is online. It has an ISBN number as well. It's been officially published, and also take a look at our urban gardening network. And if some of you as well might be interested in share with us some of your experiences in terms of urban gardening initiatives, or some case studies that might be also interesting, please let us know, contact us, and we will be really happy to also include all of these different case studies and perhaps different leaders across different regions that we can all learn from. So yeah, this is pretty much what we've done, and this is our journey with our project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diana, and a lot of condolence messages for your colleague from Indonesia. And yeah, very sorry. I echo all of that. Very sorry for your loss. And yeah, great job. You've done a great job with your publication. And I had a quick question for you, since we don't have any, I don't see any questions in chat or in the Q&A box. How do you foresee this publication catalyzing change in terms of urban farming? And how do you see it changing mindsets in terms of urban farming?
Yes, this is a really great question, Sushi, appreciate it. And I think since this booklet is open for everyone, is already accessible, I think one of the, to begin with, introducing the idea of mental health and well-being, and how it has been not only academically investigated to be relevant, urban farming to be relevant for us to improve our mental health and well-being. It is one of the, let's say, starting points and the messages that we want to actually put out and share with different communities and around the world. So it's not only the process of urban farming. Of course, it entails a really intricate sort of process and system, but at the same time, how this can directly affect or impact our mental health and well-being is something that we wanted to put forth and share. And I think also, I guess, just to start looking at these topics in a more progressive way, and in which I know these are totally different, perhaps, fields of knowledge in terms of architecture, perhaps, and mental health and well-being, and even psychiatric studies, and how that all merges together to even talk about community empowerment. We have managed to create a really interesting, let's say, overlap in terms of concepts and case studies, where we are actually discussing and making the proposition to people to really look at environmental ethics, for instance, in the way how we relate to nature, how perhaps we value nature in our urban environments, and if there is a need for actually shifting values in terms of we relate towards nature. So I guess and this is actually quite important, especially because it applies not only for developing countries or least developed countries, but also developed countries, where I could think of several cases where there has been, let's say, there has been a time where nature has been mostly commodified, and there's that connection towards the natural environment, that value over nature has been overlooked. So we are trying to also overpass that, while we are not forgetting the importance of integrating urban strategies and architectural strategies in the process. But how can those strategies be also shared with the community so they can actually use them, instead of just being the knowledge of a few, right? So I think that's our message, that's our takeaway. And the knowledge we use in this booklet is very accessible, though I have to recognize we are integrating some academic jargon in some specific concepts, but understanding the neurological impact of nature in our physiology, and all of these concepts still really accessible for people. So it's just, I guess it's going to be, if people want to learn more from that front, I think that's the takeaway that we wanted to share, and also in overlapping it with real examples in the communities, both in Singapore and in Philippines.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Diana. There's a question in the Q&A box that I'm not asking live, but if you want to answer it, please feel free to type away. And with that, I would like to invite Sandra, who is actually a part of the second round, the Catalytic Grant round for which we held at CBA 15 last year, but has agreed to join us and share their work. So they haven't reached a point where they've completed their work, but their work is exciting, and we thought it was catalytic in a way that it could be shared here and could be discussed and celebrated with this group as well. So over to you, Sandra. The floor is yours. Could you please unmute, Sandra?
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I was having troubles unmuting myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, thank you.
Great, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. So you can see my face. So our program of our projects in the Catalytic Grant was to raise awareness on loss and damage. We all know that we get to confuse loss and damage to adaptation and mitigation. So we're like, how about before addressing that problem, we can raise awareness so that anyone can know what it is loss and damage and how can all contribute to addressing that. So in that way, we also went in a way that we will break the language barriers, because English is like a common language, but we don't know all English, so we must also reach to other communities with their different language. So in this grant, we also speak to French-speaking communities, so we can teach them about loss and damage, what it is, how they can contribute to address it, and so on. Next slide. So as they said, we have not implemented yet, we have not conducted yet the awareness programs, but so far we have a 101 training on loss and damage in French, a document that we already have translated. We also have we also plan to do a training on loss and damage politics within the UNFCCC, how far the progress is, the position of different groups within the negotiations. That document is also available in the French language. We have also mobilized trainers who will provide those two trainings. We have also prepared the LDYC session, the Gobeshona, that was last Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you. Next slide. So far the challenges was finding French-speaking trainers, because English is a dominating language, so it is very difficult to find French-speaking trainers. And also the time zone differences are not quite in our time zones, so that we can accommodate everyone depending on the time zones. That would be it. Thank you. And also I'm inviting all of you or anyone you know who might be interested to join us in those sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much. With this, we end our presentations, but we have one more speaker. We have Anish, who doesn't have a presentation, but would like to share his reflections for about 4 to 5 minutes. Anish, the floor is yours. You can switch on video if you'd like. Host, can you please unmute Anish?
Yes, Thank you. Sorry, I was muted, and also don't have the authority to mute myself, unmute myself. So hello everyone. This is me, Anish Shrestha. So I'm from Nepal, one of the winners of the Catalytic Grant last year during 2021 Gobeshona conference, and happy to see the next Gobeshona conference right here after the grant that I think we made some changes, and I'm quite sorry for that. I am not turning on my video because my quality of internet is not so much stable at the moment. So yeah, so nice to see all of you, and it's a great opportunity, and I think we need to have this timely discussion on the how the grants and how the opportunities can turn to something good and empowering the communities vulnerable to climate change, and also minimizing or mitigating and adapting to the impacts of the climate change. So I'm also sorry that I don't have a slide because we were quite extremely busy past days for some climate conferences that we are organizing in few days. So yes, our project last year, we were a part of group 11, and our project title was Climate Change Adaptation and Gender, Coping with the Climate Risks by Empowering Women in the Mountains. So this was implemented in India and Nepal, especially in the mountain areas. So we selected one pilot village where we to the impacts and climate change, and that also most in the mountains, because the mountains are now being very vulnerable and threatened due to the climate change, as you know it is melting the sky ice and snow, and it is also degrading the mountain ecosystem and impacting the livelihood, agriculture, so all the aspect of the lives of the individual and the communities living near the mountains. And especially as we talk, I think Nepal, India, Bangladesh, there's part of the Hindu Kush Himalaya region, so very prone and connected to the mountains, and also prone to the impacts of the climate change. So this project we envisioned and mission to accomplish with the empowerment and capacity building of the women and the women groups in fighting the impacts of climate change, and also to learn and study and exchange on the impacts of climate change and build the best practices, innovation, and policies and activities that we cater to adaptation of the climate change in the upcoming days, as it is not possible to extremely cut out the climate change, as it is a part of the environmental process that we are having with the climate change. So it was implemented in the Nagaland in India, so where we formed the 5 women groups, and also in the Betanjok in the Kabre district in Nepal, where we also formed the 5 women groups with the 5 people each, where we provided them the training resources, seed resources, especially the seeds and agriculture trainings on mitigating and adapting to the effects of the climate change to those women, because the climate change were highly impacting their agriculture, as we see the untimely monsoon, extreme rainfall, and other the growth of temperature and etc. In the climate, and the temperature these days due to the effect of the climate change, and especially this going more in the mountain area. So as the women are more vulnerable to this in the vulnerable area of mountain itself, so this project targeted to empower them through the resources, and also through the capacity building. So we also did or research of how and what kind of impacts the women are feeling in the mountains with the climate change, and we found a lot on especially how their livelihood is impacted, how their lives has been changed, and how they have to be rushing on finding the solution to combat the climate change, as the agriculture and the agriculture products that they used to have in their agricultural lands cannot sustain anymore the impacts of the climate change, and they have to go through a lot of new seeds, new kind of method, so that they can get on the agriculture productivity that they used to get, and it's not even getting through a lot of other their efforts that they are trying to put. So we provided them with the guidance on the what can be the measures as the rotational agriculture and other options that we can make to have the impacts of climate change minimized, and also as the climate change cannot be completely washed away, so we need to adapt to it anyhow. So the adaptation efforts were also discussed that they can implement in upcoming days, and and also they can train not only the people themselves that we provided knowledge and capacity building and also exchange, but also the other Oman groups and their peers on passing this knowledge, and also building a kind of Oman center where the Oman groups and the networks can come together to discuss the environmental challenges, especially the climate change in these days, and how they can integrate their empowerment and other activities to overcome them. So I think it was very successful. It was like a pilot project, and we had this community exchange, and also the community well related to our idea and initiative. And we already seeing the changes in both Nepal and India, how these Oman groups who doesn't have even an Oman group itself, like has been scattered itself, has been come together as a group through our initiative of implementing this pilot project, and how they are being resilient on the impacts of the climate change, and already discussing the what will be the way forward, like implementation of the local adaptation plan LAPA NAPA in their communities, and also the how we can carry out this project in the follow-up action in upcoming days. So this was well received by this community, and we are very overwhelmed by this grand receipt of the communities on the how the projects has impacted itself on overcoming the impact of the climate change. And we envision to carry out some of the follow-up actions in upcoming days, and expand the project scope and outreach in both the countries, because we felt it's extremely necessary for Oman groups, especially in the mountain areas, to know about the climate change and how they can resource themselves, because we cannot wait others to support, because we need to be empowered, and we need to be resilient on our own. So I think we need to invest our resources and our capacity from our countrymen to come up with the ground-led or the ground-based solution itself to combat the effects of the climate change. And this is what we try to establish through our project, and I think we have been a bit of successful on doing so. And we envision and we commit ourselves to carry out this in the upcoming days. So we also have like documented this in form of the case stories, and then video on how the communities has been transformed, or what we tried to did during our project. So I think we will be releasing in the few of the in upcoming few days, so you can have a look on that. And I'm also very happy to not only like share what we have done, and I think it's a quite of good of new kind of initiative that we first tried the first time itself this time, but also to learn from the other groups that it has been a very successful. And I think how we can merge this all of our initiative and build a kind of network of or the pool of the initiatives on finding a probable solution, and also to combat the effects of climate change and empower the communities for against that. So I think that will be really crucial, and I congratulate all of team on doing so, and I think we should continue this. So maybe in the next year or this year, we can think of how we can do the follow-up action, as I think we already have made the alumni group of the this Catalytic Grant also. So I think as a best practice, I think this kind of initiative we can do. And as we had done this in a pilot level, maybe if we find it quite successful, and also if not even that, if we learn from some of our challenges and try to build a new idea to overcome the challenges and integrate other new and innovative solution to the initiative that we do. So I think we can also enlarge our impact of our initiatives itself. And thank you for the opportunity, and I conclude. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Sorry for that short time that we had available, but thank you for that if at times breathless, but very, very passionate plea to continuing work and very valuable work that you're doing in very remote areas. Um, I will take this opportunity to ask a question to each one of you. This is a question to all of you, and if we can start with Zakia and then go in the order of the presentations. I want to know what, in one line, very short, succinct one line, what was your personal takeaway or personal learning in this process? So Zakia, you could start and then we could go to the next person. Host, could you please unmute the panelists? This is proving to be a bit of a struggle and we're struggling with time because of this.
Okay, thank you. It's very difficult to say in online and the experience of all the work we have done. But the main thing that is we have built up the network and we can go in future with this because we have already completed a draft of the manuscript and we will continue our work in future with this network that we have built up from the other on group members from other group, Diana, and also we have the co-authors from some academician in Bangladesh. So that this is very good for me, and as an academician, then I can go with this in future and hope that I can publish a good article on this.
Amazing, thank you. Swaching?
Okay, so thank you again. So what I've understood by working with the children and the community people is that if we empower the children, in the future, at least we can, I think, reduce the climate change and its impact. That's all. Thank you.
Amazing, thanks. Melanie?
Okay, for me, I think one of the things I've learned most that there are many challenges in the climate action platform that we are trying to push, and that we need to remain resilient as people addressing issues of climate change, and we need to continue learning and sharing our knowledge with everyone. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Diana?
Hi, Sushi. Yes, it's actually, I was just typing my comment right now, and I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. It's been an extremely meaningful experience, and the networks we built and the experiences and knowledge exchange has been a real pleasure. And I'm deeply grateful for all of these sessions that we have to communicate with each other. And I'm hopeful for the future we will stay in touch, and we will be the first pioneers of these catalytic grants, and deeply inspired by all of your work for each of you guys. It's been a real and enhancing experience. So thank you so much, and good luck for the people that comes after us for the second round of these grants. Thank you.
Sandra?
Yeah, thank you. So one takeaway is that young people are always capable, as always they're empowered the right tools and information. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you. Thank you for that very brief answer. Anish, last but not the least.
Thank you very much. So I will say the two words, so echoing the STG's title, leaving no one behind. And then I will like to say, engage, connect, and empower communities. We are the solution, and the solutions are inside the nature. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you so much. And with that, we're almost at time. So I'd like to invite Heather from the Climate Justice Resilience Fund to say some few thoughts and give her reflections from this last year.
Thank you so much, Shuchi, and thank you to all of the partners who made this possible. The Climate Justice Resilience Fund has been really privileged to work with GRP and with ECAD to launch such an innovative and catalytic program as this. I really want to congratulate all of the teams and thank you for your inspiring work here. At the Climate Justice Resilience Fund, we focus on bringing people and people's lived experience and people's rights and their own priorities to the center of climate action. And all of these projects show how many ways there are to do this. There's such diversity in this first cohort of projects that we're really reminded how many ways there are to center people in this work and what diversity there is in the work that we're privileged to do as people working on adaptation. I am really struck in listening to these presentations by the importance of youth and the energy of young people and the need for more programs like this to support youth work. I'm also really impressed at the sharing and the exchange and the inspiration that's been facilitated by ECAD and GRP in putting these projects together and bringing the groups together, not just not just once every year for a presentation like this, but several other times, and to genuinely create a network and exchange. And as we all know, the pandemic has made this very different than anyone had anticipated. And my condolences, let me share those to the others echoing here, the loss of Inda and the many losses that this community has experienced. It's extraordinary what you've been able to achieve amidst all of those challenges. And I really look forward to seeing more over the years from the members of these teams and to seeing where these catalytic grants can go in the future. All of you are in the process now of inspiring potential applicants for the next round of catalytic grants. And we've seen some discussion on the chat of questions around what makes a good team and how many people can get involved. And it is a real special space that this set of teams are in terms of setting a high bar, I would say, for future projects under this initiative. So again, congratulations to all of you. Thank you for all your work and your insight and the sharing that you've done here, and for your leadership in being the first to undertake this particular grant program in this important community with Gobeshona and the Community-Based Adaptation Conference and the really extraordinary network created by GRP and ECAD. Thank you, Shichi, and back to you.
Thank you so much. Indeed, all your words are very true, ringing very, very true. And thank you for that. In some ways, it was inspiring to hear you talk about reflect through these projects, even as we were listening to all of them speak. Your reflections really drove home the point that they are inspiring, and they're indeed based on values of transparency and connections, which is great. With that, I think we will hand over to Adiba and commence the process of discussing and networking in the best way that we can without breakout rooms. So Adiba, over to you.
Thank you, Suchi. I hope you can hear me well. Yes. Okay. So thank you so much, Heather, for being here with us today, and the participant grantees of last year who have presented their excellent and amazing work that they have completed through this grant. So with that, I would like to start. I'm going to share my screen. And if you face any difficulties or if you can't hear me, just give me a knock so that I can get. So I hope everyone can see my screen. So let me.
Yes, we can
start.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yes. So as all of you were with us throughout this time, like for 2 hours of this session. So you have already got to know about the grant, like how we actually work, how the participant last year, previous year grantees actually work through this grant. So I will just echo some of the things that need to be considered while you guys are applying for the grant. So as I have already mentioned earlier, that I'm Adiba. I work as the project focal from ICCCAD side for the grant along with CJRF and GRP. So as most of you know that the grant award is 5,000. Each team will receive $5,000. And this time we are, as last year was our pilot project, the grant was our pilot project. So we decided to pay upfront payment to the teams to start their project activities, to do their project activities without any problem or any hassle. So for the timeline of the grant, the grant will be given for 1 year, and you have to complete, the teams have to complete their project activities through this 1 year. And through this 1 year, me and GRP team will be in contact with you, will be in touch with you, will be asking for your project updates, will be emailing you through this time. And in next Gobeshona Global Conference 3, the teams will be mainly showcasing their project activities like this year grantees they have there. So in terms of team formation, I have seen many questions regarding the team formation of 4. So we actually suggest to have a team formation of 3. In this case, as the grant amount is 5,000 USD and it is for 1 year. So it will be great if you can keep the members in 3. But if you want to have someone who would like to give you advice, or who would be in, the member would love to be in advisory team, so maybe you can add 4 members, but we suggest to keep it 3. And we expect composition of diverse background from, like as you have seen that the previous year grantees team were mostly diverse, where most of them, some of them are students, some of them are from academic background, some of them are practitioners, some of them are community-based organization or grassroots organization. So we also expect this year to have the same team composition. And group consisting of members from different regions will be highly prioritized. I know in some cases you may ask, or you may raise the question like how I don't have anyone who works in different regions or different country, or maybe how I will be able to work with some different region person, because the time will be a great challenge. So in that case, I will suggest that yes, the time it is a little bit challenge, but there are some when there is a will, there is a way. So maybe there will be time problem, but or time challenge. Maybe you group members can discuss among yourselves like how you guys will decrease the challenge and apply as a group in this grant. And then that team should be balanced in representation and include members from at least one of the traditionally underrepresented groups, like for say example, youth, women, indigenous groups, people with disabilities are highly encouraged to apply for this grant. And then the teams must have proven experience in working on climate change field, spatially, and climate change adaptation, community-based adaptation and resilience, so that they can easily get to know, or they can easily get they will relate how the grant will work. And please, as you guys have already seen in the Google form, we are encouraging you to upload your CV or submit the application form with your recent CV. And we don't encourage for the previous year grantees to apply for this grant. So, and the project proposal submission, in terms of the project proposal submission, what we meant here is the application process submission should be developed, follow the principle of do not harm. because it has no negative impact. It should not have no negative impacts on communities or ecosystem. It is designed to build resilience in, and that idea should target countries eligible for official development assistance as defined by OECD DAC. I will share the link of the official development assistance country name in the chat box. The applicants, interested applicants, can check your country if it's in the list or not. And then the submission should ensure inclusion, equity, and human rights consideration. And the deadline for fill the Google form is on 3rd of April 2022. So this was basically a glimpse of what we are looking for through this grant. And one thing I would like to mention that I have come across in the chat box, that who will judge or who will actually select the teams for the grant. For selecting the teams, we will be mainly invite our expert colleagues from both ICCCAD and GRP to select teams. After selecting a good number of teams, to actually maintain transparency, we will be uploading the application form or the idea of the grant into our HOVA platform to get a crowd voting. So through this crowd voting, we will be actually selecting the groups for 2022 Catalytic Grant Program. And one thing I actually forgot to mention, that what will be the opportunities that you will get if you get selected for the grant. There are a number of good opportunities that we will offer you through this grant, like opportunity of writing a blog, opportunity of writing an article, and then we are being able to give you mentorship. Like, as I have already mentioned earlier, that it will be a 1-year grant program. So in this 1 year, we will be actually giving you mentorship or giving you some leadership trainings, or maybe we will try to share other opportunities from us that actually ICCCAD, GRP, or CJRF have. Like, we will share the other opportunities, and you will be able to have a good network. Like, you will be able to connect with the practitioners and community members in different countries, and it is a very good opportunity to have build actually network to other country practitioners, other country students. So that's all from my side. Now I saw someone just raise their hand.
Yeah, there's Khalid Chaudhary who's raised his hand. If we can unmute him.
Would you like to add something?
Yes, I would like to ask a question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So one of the eligibility criteria is the participants should have proven experience in climate change related things or community-led adaptation. So if someone has not got that much experience but is very much interested in this kind of activities, then how should they approach?
Okay, in that case, you may have the team of other participants. Like, you may make the team with other participants who have a little knowledge about climate change or community-based adaptation, because the grant is actually based on locally led adaptation and resilience. For that, you need a little bit knowledge or primary knowledge about all these things.
Okay, so sorry, just last question. So what if this, I mean, his or my experience is not that formal? I mean, there are many people who are interested in climate change things, but they haven't got formal experience, but they have worked informally in various capacities. So is it possible to mention that in the application, or even with a cover letter attached to the CV?
Yes, you can do that. Actually, what we are looking for, we don't look for any formal experience or knowledge. We are also encouraging to have informal knowledge. Like anyone from engineering background may have knowledge of climate change or all these things. So maybe he is also applicable to apply for this grant.
Okay, okay. Thanks for the answer. Thank you.
Yes, Suji, over to you.
Thank you. I'm monitoring chat and I can see people already putting in requests for groups. I see one more raised hand. Zoem Tedonpak Cedric, is that? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Host, can you unmute him, please? Yeah, please go ahead. Zoem, you are unmuted. Okay, maybe they'll come back. In the meanwhile, if there are any more questions, if there's any thoughts or questions that anyone has regarding the process, if you want to ask the participants something, please feel free to do that as well. It's not just us answering questions, but also the participants. Yes, you're now unmuted, Zoem. If I'm pronouncing your name correctly, please go ahead.
Maybe Zoem can put his query in the chat box.
Yes, I think you're having trouble with your microphone. If you could put whatever query you have in the chat box and we'll be sure to answer that. Ayana, you have something to share.
Yes, hello, good evening or good day, wherever you are, sorry. I just have a question because my colleagues saw that this is a really, it is really successful, our project here with the catalytic grants, and they're also interested in applying. Are they allowed to apply since we're part of the same organization, or is it not anymore?
Yes, they can apply,
Okay.
but they have to pitch a different idea. Like,
Yes, for sure. Okay, thank you.
Also, can the same country team apply? Can I apply?
Same country team? Can you just...
Three people, all the three people are based in the same country?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, we have two more hands. Can we have Naspekul first and then Moses?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everybody. I actually wanted to ask that my team members, if they're not present right now, is that okay? Because according to the registration process, it was said that the team members need to be present for the meeting.
Yes, the team representatives will also work in this case.
Okay. And if they are from the same country, but even if we have different backgrounds, is that fine as well?
Yes, you need to just, I will suggest you to go through the concept note that we have uploaded along with the website thing once again, just.
Thank you.
Okay, Adiba, someone has an interesting question in chat. Showadip Das says they weren't able to register for the conference, but they are asking if they need to, if the condition to register for conference stands.
Okay, so today was the last day for the Gobeshona conference. We are in 15 minutes, we will be starting our closing session. So you don't have to register for the Gobeshona conference now. You can just apply for the grant. You can actually focus on the grant now.
Great. And We have Moses who can ask the last question, I think. And Zoem, if you can put your question in chat. We're unable to hear you, so if you can put it in chat, we'll answer. Moses?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Reverend Moses Atwaire from Uganda. My question is, are we allowed to apply as a consortium if in case like we get 2 or 3 organizations, like the 3 people, we are coming from different organizations and we can apply as a consortium?
Yes, I think that's the idea behind the Catalytic Grant. So please feel free to apply as a consortium.
Okay. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, Lenser Opio, you have a question in chat which says, is the Catalytic Grants a continuation of the previous knowledge products we did last year? Could you refer to which knowledge product you're talking about? Or Radiba, are you aware of this?
No, maybe what he meant is the knowledge product was produced by the previous year grantees.
Right, okay, yeah. I think you can build on that. That shouldn't be a problem, but definitely something that's innovative and catalytic.
To pitch something innovative and catalytic.
Yeah, it can't be replicating the same knowledge product.
And we actually encouraging to have innovative outcomes or innovative knowledge product that you'd like to produce through this grant. We are actually encouraging to do that. Maybe a knowledge product can be a booklet, a journal paper, a photo exhibition thing, or a photo diary that you guys would like to do through this year. Can be different. Yes, I can see Khaled Chaudhary's hand raised again. So we will take 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah.
Sorry for my question again. So in terms of the output, would you consider any documentary or something like that?
In terms of output?
Yeah.
We are not, we don't want to actually give you the outputs now. We want from you actually. We want to know from you what you'd like to produce from your.
And I think documentaries fall within the ambit of catalytic, innovative ideas. So yes, please feel free to apply. There's also a question in chat which says, if there are 3 members from the same country already, is it possible to add a 4th person from a different country, and then does the team qualify?
Yes, you can do that, but in that case, you have to divide the award into 4 person or 4 members. So it's up to you if you want to do that, but we actually encourage from our side to have 3 members in a group.
And okay, so there's one more question. Thank you, Emma, for answering it, but I'll say it out loud just for everybody's advantage. Are you looking for knowledge outcomes, or is it possible to do an innovative product outcome as well? We're looking for innovative product outputs, to be honest. And knowledge is one of them, because knowledge often is one way to be innovative and one way to identify those areas where truly catalytic innovation is needed. So yeah, please feel free to put in knowledge outcomes, and please feel free to use them in any form, any kind of product, or if anything innovative and creative is welcome. Great. Do we have any more questions?
There is a question in the Q&A part there.
Great, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, Zakia. Okay, the question is, could we repeat the last idea which was not entered in the top 5 teams? I mean, Jerry, to be honest, Jerry, or is that Charles? Okay, sorry, you're using Jerry's PC. To be honest, that shouldn't be a problem if you're entering a similar idea, but I would suggest you sort of build on it, because there's a year that has passed in between, and there might be new ideas coming in that year. You might have done something that might have sort of brought out some newer ideas. So please try and use ideas that are innovative and that are it. Basically, you have a better chance of winning if you're using more innovative ideas than recycling old ideas. Right. So another question: if a group has sent their application already and then later someone wishes to do some editing on the already sent application, will that be possible? Adiba, this one's for you.
Yes, you can resubmit your application till 3rd of April, but in that case, you need to send me an email so that I will delete the previous application, your previous application.
Great. So this one was from Zoem. So thank you, Zoem, for putting it in chat. You were trying to speak very hard for quite some time. Okay, Lawrence has a question. Is it okay for different people from one organization to apply? We would be okay with that, but the idea is to have as much diversity as possible. So do keep that in mind. Adiba, if you could put your email in chat, that would help Zoem to reach out to you. Great, thank you. Right, I think we are sorted. We have finished in time, which I'm very pleased about, since timekeeping was one of my responsibilities today. But anyway, great job to all those who presented today. We are very pleased to have you come this far through the year. It has been truly inspiring, like Heather said. It's been great to have spoken with you all through the last year, and we hope we can keep in touch. We will, for sure, through the group, through the alumni group. And this is also a call for everyone who has shown such amazing interest and asked so many questions around the application process and helped us think through the application process so well in process, to please apply. Feel free to be as innovative, as creative as possible, and make sure to apply in ways that ensure that we have a plurality of ideas, more diversity in the ideas that we have, and more exciting stuff that we can amplify at our end. And we hope that you also have a great, nurturing, and great next 1 year as winners, whoever that you may be in this group. And yeah, I think with that, we call this session to a close. And thank you very much.